Hata mimi nawatakia heri. This week, something very interesting happened in our courts. The Kibra Law Court sentenced 57 people to 1 week of community service for flouting COVID-19 protocols. The 57 were found guilty of breaching curfew rules, including being found in bars past 9 p.m. On Monday afternoon, they were handed over to Nairobi Metropolitan Services (NMS) to, among other things, clean up various city spots from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily, with more severe punishment for those who skipped the non-custodial sentence. That, in my opinion, was a fantastic ruling. That, to me, was justice. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines justice as the maintenance or administration of what is just, especially by the impartial adjustment of conflicting claims or the assignment of merited rewards or punishments. The Cambridge Dictionary goes a step ahead to define justice as fairness in the way people are dealt with. I wonder what some of the 57 offenders told their employers while explaining their reasons for absence from their offices all this week. You see, justice is also about making one realize their mistakes, regret about them, and feel some pain, and ultimately learn from their mistakes. It is also about sending a warning to other would-be offenders. That the magistrate declined to fine the culprits is also telling. In any case, most flouters of COVID-19 regulations have been doing so with impunity, well aware that with a few thousand shillings, they can get away with it. But to me, the more important lesson is that playing hide and seek with law enforcers over COVID-19 protocols is a zero-sum game. I mean, who by now doesn't understand the adverse effects of COVID-19 pandemic on our country's economy and way of life for millions of citizens? Who in their right mind is still thinking that COVID-19 was a joke or some myth? Now, Margaret Heffernan, in a book titled Willful Blindness, where we ignore the obvious at our peril, says you cannot fix a problem that you refuse to acknowledge. Maria Popova, in an analysis of the book, says that we sometimes, consciously but mostly not, choose to remain unseeing situations where we could know and should know, but don't know about it makes us feel better not to know. The fact is, we are living in difficult times. It is business unusual from March last year. That we'll still have people locking themselves in bars to enjoy a drink past the hours is an own goal. In any case, you may escape police arrest or even bribe your way out of that entertainment joint, but you cannot fool the virus or stagger away from it. And you will still take the killer virus to your family once you exit the bar. You may refuse to wear your mask or even do it just to avoid arrest. But remember, COVID-19 is real, and its effects are first personal before they extend to your family and all those you interact with. Statistics can be sobering. A look at the numbers in the last 10 or so days indicate that we have lost over 180 people. In the last 24 hours, we have lost about 23 people. Cumulatively, the number of COVID fatalities is 2,092. And these are not mere numbers. These are fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, relatives, and friends. So far, we have 1,080 patients admitted in various hospitals, 121 of them in intensive care units, 35 on ventilatory support. With the government confirming that health facilities are strained and the cost of managing the virus rising by the day, one ought to understand the enormity of the matter at hand. So let us do the right thing. And we are not just dealing with one pandemic, but about three: the COVID-19 pandemic, the ignorance pandemic, and the corruption pandemic. While there may be vaccine for the first one, I doubt there will be any for the other two. More so, the second one, because, as Emma Goldman warns us, the most violent element in society is ignorance. That's my punchline.